Hi, today is going to be my September wrap-up video. As I am very new to YouTube, this will be my first wrap-up. This video I hope will not be too long because it was a very busy month. Let me start off by saying that I read 37 books in September. Now, of these 37 books, here are some of the categories in which I read. I read 11 or so psychological thrillers, maybe 12. I read 7 women's fiction titles, 1 historical fiction, 3 mystery thrillers, 2 romantic suspense, 8 romance titles, 3 cozy mysteries, 5 historical romances, and 1 fiction novel. That's what I did in the month of September. Now, I can't sit down and list 37 books in one video. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what the outstanding books that I read for September and the books that I wasn't so fond of last month. In no particular order, here they are. And forgive me, please, because I will have to refer to my notes. The first one is Return to the Little Cottage on the Hill, and this was by Emma Davies. This is book 3 in the Little Cottage series. I read the first 2. I absolutely love them, and I think that it's an excellent read. It's very, very sweet. The characters are really, really sweet and really enjoyable. The next one I read was the psychological thriller, which is The Lies We Told by Camilla Way. This won't be out until October 9th, so the review is written but not yet posted, and I probably won't do the video for this one right now. This one was most certainly a very high rating, 4.5 or 5 stars. Coming Home to Maple Cottage by Holly Martin. This I did for a blog blitz just this morning. And let me tell you, I love this book. It's book number 3 in the Sandcastle Bay series. It's gonna be kind of sad to see these wonderful people go, but it's time that the series comes to a close. Everybody has found love, and it's very rewarding. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I have not yet did the video, but I have written the review. Oh, by the way, all of the books that I mentioned, if I have links for my blog, I will put them in the description below. As far as Coming Home to Maple Cottage is concerned, I could not give it 5 stars. There were 2 elements in the book that kind of threw me a little bit, but it most certainly is an excellent read. It's a wonderful, wonderful romance. It's very warm, it's very loving, it's very sweet. The next one that I'll talk about briefly is Lies by T.M. Logan. Let me tell you, I was in the middle of reading something else and somebody says, no, put that down. Read at least 1 chapter of Lies. I promise you, if you read the first chapter, you will not put the book down. Well, she was absolutely right, because I read chapter 1, chapter 2. A few hours later, I had read the entire book. I gave that book 5 stars. And let me tell you, the conclusion really, really threw me. Another book, oh my goodness, this is The Birthday by Carol Wire. I don't want to talk about it too much here because I am going to make a video about this book. This is the first book in the Natalie Ward detective series, okay? I read this book several months ago, but it's still very, very fresh in my mind. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a sneak peek. I love this book so much, even though I read it on NetGalley. Guess what? I bought the print copy for my shelf. I couldn't help myself. Anyway, I'll make that video shortly. That book is the first in the series, as I mentioned, and it was just announced just within the last hour or so that there's going to be a second book called Last Lullaby, and that comes out in December. Yep, the cover reveal was just done on Twitter, on Facebook, and other places. So get ready for that one because Carol Wire is a great writer. The Boy at the Door by Alex Dahl. Oh my gosh, I could not believe that book. There were things about the book that some people aren't going to like. They're not going to like the mom. There's a lot of things about her. And then there's another character in the book. There's a lot of things about her. But I think it was a riveting suspense novel, a riveting psychological thriller, and I really enjoyed that one. Another enjoyable read was The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendrickson and Sarah Pekkanen. This is a new title to me, a pair of authors to me rather, and I was really able to enjoy that book. I really read it simply because they have another book coming out called An Anonymous Girl in January. And since I have that book already for NetGalley, I decided why not read their first book. That way I can at least be familiar with their writing style. The one fiction title that I read in September is The Ancient Nine by Dr. Ian K. Smith. Totally not my kind of read, but I loved it. I did give it 4.5 stars. It's about an exclusive club at a university and all the ins and outs of it, the secrets, the lies, the danger, and it was a really good read. A kind of a shocking read to me was The President is Missing by James Patterson and Bill Clinton. I think I made a video on this. I certainly wrote a review on it. And I have to be honest, as much as I love James Patterson and I have read dozens and dozens of his books, I didn't want to read it simply because of the co-author. By the way, there was an additional author, I believe David Ellis. He was a ghostwriter in this book as well. Now, I had to give this book 5 stars. Part of the reason that it got 5 stars is because it was an Audible title, and I absolutely love Audible. There were various voices, various narrations, and it was a really good listen. Another book I read, this was a print title I had on my shelf. It was also recommended to me, and it was another book that when I picked it up, I couldn't put it down, and I read it straight through, hundreds of pages straight through. This is The Perfect Mother by Amy Malloy. That was an excellent read. It was very, very interesting. As a matter of fact, it's going to be a movie starring Kerry Washington from Scandal. The last book I'll mention here is Perfect Girls by Allison James. It's the Detective Rachel Prince series, number 3. The first 2 titles are Now She's Gone and Lola is Missing. I read and reviewed all 3 of these, and I think they're excellent reads if you like English novels where they have the various detectives and so forth. I gave that book a pretty high rating as well. So, those are the books that I loved in September. There are a few that I wasn't so crazy about. Again, in no particular order, just simply in how I wrote them down. One is The Secrets We Keep by Kate Hewitt. Now, she wrote A Mother's Goodbye, which I gave 5 stars, so I was really excited to read this book. I loved the book. I was really with the book, 85% into the book, but then there was a shift. When this shift happened, it kind of really threw me, and it kind of soured how I felt about the book. I was able to give it 4 stars, so it wasn't a horrible book by no means. I think Kate Hewitt is a fantastic writer. I just wasn't really crazy about what happened towards the end of the book. So that kind of goes in my not favorite category. A do not finish title that I began was The Lost Children by Steve Parker. The victims were children, and it was rather gruesome, and I just couldn't. I'm a mom, I'm a grandma. I couldn't. Jealousy by Nancy Bush. It was said to be a romantic suspense book. Yes, there was a good mystery in it, a lot, but it was more drama. Certainly no romance, and it ran very slow. So I only gave that one 3 stars. But I do love Nancy Bush, and I have several of her books on my bookshelf. The Goodnight Song by Nick Holland. This was also a do not finish title. It's the second in the series, and this is a book that I think I really had to have read would have had to read the first book in order to get into it. Because I hadn't read it, and because it was due for a blog tour, and there was no time to read the first book, I just wasn't able to finish it, and so I simply did it as a promotional post. The next one that I did finish was A Lover Too Many. I am sorry, but I did not write the author's name down. I finished the book. I will say that it was a bit hard to get into. The reason that I had a little bit of problems with it, I am looking up A Lover Too Many, if you don't mind. The reason that I had a problem with that one, it was a lot of legal speak. It was just a little bit too technical for me, and so I had a hard time staying focused on the story. Like I said, I finished it. I got through it, and I'm glad I did. By the way, the author's name was Roy Lewis, and it's the Inspector John Crow series. I will check out at least one more in that series to see if it was just that particular book, but it just didn't ring a lot of bells for me. Dinner Party. I didn't write the author of that one down. and I'm not even going to try to guess. Dinner Party, there was nothing wrong with Dinner Party to a degree. My only problem with Dinner Party, or my primary problem with Dinner Party, was that it was said to be humor and women's fiction. It certainly was women's fiction. Oh, it's Tracy Bloom, by the way. It certainly was a women's fiction title, but I didn't feel that it was humorous, and that's kind of what threw me and what made me. I gave it 4 stars, so I gave it a good rating, but it was very dramatic. I wasn't crazy about the ending. I wasn't crazy about some of the characters and the scenarios, so that wasn't gonna be a favorite of mine. The last one that I finished that wasn't one of my favorites that I gave 3.5 stars to is Murder in the Morning by Betty Rollins. It was an okay story. It wasn't exciting, but it was pretty good because it's part of a series, which I love series. It's a cozy mystery. It is the Melissa Craig mystery number 2. There's another one that will be out in October, I believe October 15th, and that is Murder on the Cliff Tops. This is a good read if you like simple, cozy mysteries. It took place in the 90s, so that was before the age of technology, cell phones, and things of that nature, before the modern policing that exists. So, in a lot of respects, it was a good title. It just wasn't very exciting. However, I am a lover of cozy mysteries. I read them quite frequently, so I've already downloaded Murder on the Cliff Tops, and I will read that. Hopefully, I like it a bit more. Okay, that's my September wrap up. I will do my best to link all of the reviews below. Um, I have to see how that goes, but I will try to link them below. I want to thank you for your time. All right, you have a great one. Bye bye.